Today we have a Ferrari. Now this is a Meridian F80 combination radio, Bluetooth speaker, CD player. It kind of does it all and weighs a ton. So I do some volunteering at a local repair cafe, and this was brought in, and yeah, it's I kind of knew what was going to be the issue to start with, so all I could do at that time was to disassemble it and prove that the suspected fault was actually the fault. So internally these have a small cylindrical little fuse. Rather annoyingly, you can get these from sort of Farnell and stuff, but once you factor in the postage and that, it's cheaper to get a row of 10 of them from China for like £3.50, something like that. Yeah, it took a while to arrive, so I've been holding on to this for a couple of months, but we have it here, and so I thought it might be useful for those of you that have one of these, just to help you with the disassembly. There are some very good instructions online. They do actually release their own detailed information on how to disassemble these. So we'll go ahead and we'll start with the first step. So both of these covers here, they just clip in. Hopefully the second time doing this they'll be a bit easier to come off. When you first do them, they can be a bit tight. So as you can see, that's one cover off there, so we'll pop that to the side. And then all we simply do is rotate around and do the other side. Again, start by levering in the corner somewhere. It's generally the best bet to get them off. And there we are. Okay, so now we got both the covers off. You'll see a series of screws. We've got one there, one there, one there, one there. On the other side, we've also got one in the handle here, and then 4 on the other side. So we need to take these out. So these are all Torx screws. They're not security ones, so you don't need a driver bit with the center hole. So we'll just remove 5 screws on this side and then 4 on the other. So yeah, these fuses do seem to be a common issue, and so yeah, this was brought in with just having no power at all, completely dead. And yeah, just a bit of googling before I went to the event to get some idea on how to get this apart, just to verify that that was the problem. So I'll screw it up on this side. But like I say, it's good that they do make these pretty easily serviceable, as they detail. You have to excuse me bashing the tripod there. It's a bit of a bulky item, and it does weigh a ton. So yes, on the other side, again, 1, 2, 3, 4. We don't have the 5th one on this side, so just 4 screws holding the red casing together. Okay, so once you've got those screws, the actual two halves of this red plastic will just pop apart, as you can see. So you just take one half off there and then the other half off the rear. Again, if it's your first time and it's not been taken apart before recently, these can be a little bit tough to get off, so just work gently so you don't break anything. Okay, so as you can see now, we've got both of those off, and this gives us more of a view of the internals. So you'll notice here there is an antenna wire that's looped around internally along here. So all we want to do with this is just maneuver it out, and it's just got some very small little clips in places there and along there, so you just move that just so it's out the way and it's not going to get captured by, caught with anything at all. Now the next job is on the underside, where you'll see we have our rubber feet here. Next to the feet are holes. These screws are quite deep down. Slightly larger torques for this one. This one is a T15. Now these will be very, very tight, so you will need something a bit more robust than just a small Torx bit to get these undone the first time. Maybe say a T-handle set, something like that you can get a bit more purchase on, because I don't know why, but they do these screws up ridiculously tight from the factory. I will of course tighten them back down tighter than just using this once it's repaired and working. So 4 screws to remove here. Okay, and just tip that up to try and get rid of the screws. Okay, so that's our 4 screws removed from the base. Now this radio basically comes apart in a very modular way. It's sort of all slotted together. Now if I remember correctly, we should just be able to lift this up now. We're just in position and we just lift that up. Now when you do this, just be aware there is a ribbon cable down here, so we will need to remove that ribbon cable. And it just goes through this little ferrite that's down there. And then that's that whole section removed. So you can see how nicely and modular it is. It just literally has a ball-to-board interconnect there. So we can now place that to the side. And so this is the main unit, so let's zoom in a bit more. Right, so the area of concern is underneath here, so this is where our power supply is, so we will need to remove this bolt here. Now, do I have a bit on me that's big enough for this? No. Let me just go and grab another bit, so we just need to get this one here removed. Okay, so unfortunately at this point of time the mic cable came a bit loose, so this is future Gareth doing a voiceover. So I'm just unscrewing that bolt, and that will release this plastic cover. Don't lose the washer. So now you can see the plastic cover is removed, and this gives us access to the underside of the power supply. Now, although the power supply is again modular and ball-to-board interconnect, we still need to remove these 2 little screws which just hold in the power adapter, as you can see there. So we're just going to remove those. Now once they're removed, that should allow us to actually manoeuvre this power supply out of place. Bear in mind there will still be some cables connected, as you'll see shortly. so don't just go yanking it out. So now you can see that we've got an earth connection. So again, that's the Torx bit. Need to undo that one. Job done. And then we need to remove this temperature sensor, which annoyingly is the only screw that is in the device that actually is not a Torx bit. So this is a Phillips or posi drive type bit. So I'm just going to grab another screwdriver and get that unscrewed. And there we are. So that's now removed successfully. Don't lose the thermal pad on the back, and keep your screws secure so you don't lose them. Okay, so that's our power supply removed, so we can now move this to the side. And here we have the main power supply. Again, this contributes quite a lot to the weight of this unit. Big toroidal transformer in here. And if we look down here by the power input, you can see one of these little red cylindrical fuses. Now hopefully the sizes match up. They more or less do. I couldn't find the exact part number when I was ordering these. So the one I've got is a T500 milliamp one, and it's a 382/392 mount fuse, 250 volts. So that was from eBay. So quite simply need to remove this fuse and then solder a new one in. So we get the soldering iron heated up and the desoldering gun. While we're doing that, I will just prove to you that that fuse is dead. So I've just got the meter on continuity. Between there and there we have absolutely nothing. And we'll just verify that one of the replacement fuses does work. And yes, it does. Now these are a slow blow fuse. Quite why they seem to go in these, I don't know. It does seem to be a bit of a common issue. It's not too difficult to replace if you have the right equipment. Like I say, they do give you full instructions on how to actually dismantle this, should you wish to. Okay. To make this a little bit easier, I'm just going to add a bit of fresh solder to the pads. Fresh unleaded. Yeah. Should hopefully help with the melting point for getting off with the solder sucker, which is now trapped behind everything. To come out. Okay, so let's just get this on these pins. Fingers crossed. Well, that worked easier than expected, but I did actually want to suck that solder out. That hot. Okay, well, as you can see, that one just quite literally dropped out. So yes, that was certainly a bit easier than I was expecting. So we will grab a new fuse and hopefully we can just get this slotted back in there. Now the other pin, the hole's not completely clear, so we might have to work that a little bit. Let's just see if we can suck a little bit more solder. Okay, it seems to be clear now, so we're just going to pop this back in. So it's just a standard fuse, it doesn't matter which way around it goes. And I'm just going to bend the legs very slightly just to hold it in place. Okay, so we don't need the desoldering gun anymore, so we will now just quite simply add a bit of solder back onto here. Add a little bit more heat. You should have put a bit of flux on. Never mind. Alright, I think we'll just trim those legs off, and then we'll just do a quick test to make sure that the path is flowing through there. Okay, so I'm just going to check from the input on the power jack. So this is the first side of the fuse, second side of the fuse, and its path as it passes over. So I'm pretty confident with that. That seems to be okay. It's it could have done with some flux, but everything's been moved around so much recently, I haven't got a clue where that is, so I'm not going to bother. Okay, so now that's on there, so I think we should be good just to reassemble the whole unit. So that'll just be a reverse of what I did to take it apart. Just remember to have these bits connected, and your washers, etc. So we can bring the base back in again. So with this earthing one, I believe it had one washer just sitting on the post, and then the other washer was on the actual connector. So it's that one, and then we need to put down this, which I believe is a temperature sensor. Which would help if I actually got the right screwdriver for it. So again, popping that in there, so get that re-secured. Yeah, it's just annoying, it's the one Phillips bolt they've actually used, the rest of them are all Torx. So with the power supply, remember we've got to get this earthing strap on, so get that on before we manoeuvre it in place. Size do we want? I think. So I'm not too sure, but I think when I first took it apart this was on the bottom as well, so it's sort of double washers. Cambit and fiddly. Okay. Stay there, please. That. Success. Okay, so make sure this one is pretty tight, because that is a safety critical connection. And then you can see this mounts with some pin headers here, so we just need to snake the wires underneath. Just tuck them out of the way, just so they won't get in the way of that pin header, and then this will just slide back down. And then it's just a case of getting this aligned. On those pins. So it can be a tad fiddly. Just make sure that none of these wires are getting trapped. So once you got that one back in, it's just a case of popping in the screws here just for the power jack. That's back in. And just remember we have the plastic cover. And then the central bolt to go through there. Okay, so that's all secure. So now it's just a case of placing the top part on, adding the aerial wire again, and securing the screws. And then fingers crossed, we have it fixed. So I'll just get that together and I'll bring you back. Okay, so I've just put the two halves on. I haven't actually put the screws in yet. I'm just going to plug the power in, just want to actually make sure that this is turning on. And yep, we do have the time there. It's a little bit faint. We do have that there. Don't quite know how this operates. Presumably touch control. Oh no. Power. Oh, there we are. CD. No disc. Radio. Yep, you can hopefully hear some hissing there. So I'm pleased with that. So we'll just get all these secured, all these screws back in again, and then we'll do a final test. Okay, so that's it back together again. I've just dimmed the lights slightly so you can see the displays on there. Radio. volume. Probably won't pick up much in here. Plus, don't want to get a copyright match.
I don't know. I won't be eating 12 grapes at the stroke of midnight though. I can't stand the thing.
That seems to work fine. Not quite sure what all the different functions are it has. But yeah, radio, disc, aux. Yeah, that's it. Okay, so no Bluetooth on this one. And the CD player, yeah. Brilliant. Well, there we are, another successful repair. So, good piece of kit. I will do some more extensive tests before it gets taken back to its rightful owner, just to make sure everything's good. But yeah, so hopefully that's helped if you've got one of these Meridian F80 radios and you have no power. Now that certainly will show you, hopefully, how to successfully repair it. Until next time, bye for now.